Hello everybody, welcome. I'm No02 and thank you for watching this video. This is it, the walkthrough, not the playthrough guides. We're in recruit mode right now. We're going through the walkthrough. We're beginning the walkthrough of Act 5. We'll be running hang so that we can see where Hive spawns, or see Hive spawns more easily. We'll be running a deck here, specifically for it. This is not the deck. Just, you know, things for conveniently running around the maps, but it's one thing I wanted to point out, really. We're running a lot of the scavenger cards. We are in recruit mode, plus with the scavenger cards, obviously the amount of loot that we're going to be seeing and encountering is going to be significantly inflated compared to our no-hope runs. But it's sort of like map knowledge, where you'll get to sort of see what the map could potentially look like to some degree, if you were to choose or run some of these scavenger cards, and give you the knowledge of like, oh, if I do run some offensive scavenger, grenades do in fact spawn at the boat area, so you might be able to make more informed decisions if you're going to be looting or not looting and things like that. So just a little bit of extra knowledge I thought was, that might potentially be good. So, the light guides us, just like in real life. This is the first map of Act 5. And it starts off, I actually think it starts off sort of the hardest.
Check your gear. Make sure you've everything you need.
Get our pipe bombs going. We're golden.
You mean by
We're golden.
Dan's recollection of events is not an isolated incident.
I'm gonna let her listen to him talk, right?
Of reports detailing civilian.
We'll mute them. So this to me tends to be the hardest area, the opening area here. From dropping down all the way to the boat area, to the boat that we're going to be repairing. There are no good holdout spots. In fact, this opening area right here is a nightmare for ridden spawn points. Just a nightmare for ridden spawn points. The ridden can spawn over there, drop down, over there, over here. I've seen the, I don't know, I feel like they run out of there. If no one has vision down here, they will spawn literally right here, climb up right here and get into the fight and things like that. And there's just no place is safe here. They are still talking. Can you believe this crap? Alright, but there is no good place to hold out here, and things will spawn all around you. And even to here, now, this is a little bit hard to explain in recruit mode because it doesn't happen pretty dramatic. It's not very dramatic in recruit mode, but in nightmare mode in the past and no hope mode, I've talked about infinite spawn areas where there is invisible lines, sort of like checkpoints essentially, that we aren't really informed of. Where if you pass these lines, the game director will consider these areas cleared. It will stop spawning zombies in these areas. You can like sort of like go forward and come all the way back to these areas and nothing will be here. They'll be totally empty. This area right here is probably an area that you guys have probably been bogged down a little bit, right? You get stuck. Verticality that we can't reach but Ridden can is always in their advantage, never in our advantage. It's always bad for us. We never want things dropping on top of our head. Right here, sort of a pain in the butt. And once we're in this area, things are spawning sort of all around us again. Behind this truck and passing the corner, dropping down on us. They'll spawn behind this truck. And this is an area where sometimes it feels like the zombies just don't stop coming. They're like just sort of like one by one slowly funneling down from the truck and slowly spawning around there. This is an area where we just need to force our way through. Get through it as quickly as possible. I prefer to hug the left side overall. There's like 2 more sleeper spawns on this wall and that truck there that we sort of just naturally avoid by going this way, and we get better line of sight of these things here. Be a little weary of shooting your gun by this fence because there are things spawned over there, so sometimes they'll just climb over the top. Not that you can't shoot your gun, right? But just be aware of it. That if you are going to be shooting your gun by these fences, things will be climbing over the fence and jumping on top of you.
Take this. Just what I needed.
And you can sort of just see how up until this point we still haven't found ourselves a good holdout spot, right? Still haven't found ourselves a good holdout spot. But one thing I wanted to mention here, at this point, we know if we have a hive or not. One of the 3 hive spawns. If you're hanged, you can actually see it through the bridge when you're standing right here. And for the most part, if you sort of like walk through this area, typically you can hear it. You can hear the, you know, the cries of the hive. And usually one of the characters will make a remark about it, as they typically do. Another common theme that you're going to see here is bushes. Bushes are death. Bushes are scary. We typically want to stay away from them, assume that there's danger in them. But up until this point, I recommend pushing your way as quickly as you possibly can out of the safe room. Basically to here, like this is the first place where we finally get some decent choke points. And even here it's not ideal, though the boat is quite nice.
Finally,
I usually just hug the right side, clear it all out, and then we'll move over here. When it comes to lowering the boat, there's basically two sides. The best two holdout areas in this boat repair area, or in the main boat. Right, left, right. We want to choose right. Right's better. Right's better for the most part. I'll show you why. When we line up back here, our distance to the nearest spawn point for our horde event is right there, that door. It's about 15 meters away, right? About 15 meters away. But if we go over here... Careful not to fall to your death. The nearest spawn point for the horde is 20 meters away. So we want this side of the boat specifically slightly better, just because we get more line of sight, or more distance, more space between us and the horde, really. And of course, just like I did before, if things get sketchy or really wonky or scary, you can cross. Typically, though, you don't need to do that. But I tend to find that if you just stay as far left or far right as you can, typically the horde will only spawn on the side that you're on. I've never been flanked by anything over here before, unless I was jumping back and forth. Now, what do we do? The interesting about this map is that it's a big open area. It sort of feels like a finale map, really, right? So the question is, the pathing. What's the most optimal pathing? And this is the pathing that I like to take. We're gonna go through the center. Excuse me. We're gonna go through the center, regardless of where our objectives are. I mentioned that we had a hive earlier, right? A potential spot for a hive to spawn. The path that I like to take will take us in a way where we can check both hives, the other two hive spawns, relatively quickly, and set us up in the center. So I like to go through the center. You can go this way, the way I just took right now. Or you can go through this door here, right? There's the boat over there. You can go through this way as well, but typically there's zombies on those doors. And no hope, we are in recruit mode. No hope mode. These doors are almost always alarmed, and because Ridden can't hurt alarm doors anymore, this path is actually quite nice because we actually sort of end up in like a little corner. So long as there's no horde event going on, I feel relatively safe in here. Chance for a toolkit. And one of the main reasons why we like going this way is, again, alarm door, which is good. But here is a super solid holdout spot, sort of in the center of the map here, right? We get into here, things can come through the door, or the bay door. We're in the center, we're set up now. We're set up now for some loot, potentially an objective if it's here. Right, there's some card spawns in here, right? You can throw that. But the reason why I really like to go through the center is that we're setting up to check the hive spawns. This can be a rather long map. So if we get one of the 3 hive spawns, that would be really nice. Sort of just going through the center, we get an opportunity for duffel bags, right? I'm not going to point out the duffel bag spawns necessarily, but like one can spawn here. One can spawn here, right? But going through the center, we get opportunity for a toolkit room, extra loot, relatively safe area to do it in, and a super solid holdout spot. And then once that we're here, we can go through this door if we'd like. And at this point, you can see if there's a hive or not down there, right? See if there's a hive or not down there.
That's it for now.
And when it comes to approaching the canoe area, this is the canoe rental, we have these the little bit of high ground. Right, verticality that we can't reach is the Ridden's advantage. Verticality that we can reach is always our advantage because the Ridden climbs slower than we do. Right, so we can set up right here if we like. go here. Totally up to you. At this point, there's like not necessarily a right way or a wrong way. Keep in mind that if somebody's not in this room during a horde event, things can spawn in this room.
Needed that. Watch out!
You can set up here, right? And again, it's like nice little central location for us to hold out at. But the pathing now that I would typically take after all of this, so I would come out here, I would check for the hive. No hive. Let's check the other possible hive location now. And will end up being the way that we go. I like typically approaching the restaurant from this direction specifically. Like, all the pathing here is very specific for me. Just because entering the restaurant area from down there can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. Sometimes it feels like there is a little bit of an infinite horde or like zombie spawning around that door if you're entering there from the boat repair.
Now I won't feel bad about forgetting your birthday.
You have to get right about here
What's that?
to check if there is a hive spawn or not. And the other hive will spawn right here. And you can sort of see that, again, like if we just take the center, relatively good pathing for us to
I
find
could use that.
the other two hives if they have spawned or not. And just get that easy out if we need to. We can choose how much we want to loot and things like that.
Do I look like a worm face?
Not everyone. Gotta remember this when I need you.
And then from here, we have the choice. Right, we have an objective in here, so we'll have to go in here. But if there wasn't, and it was up here, we can go to boat storage and things like that. We have the options. But if we're going to enter the restaurant, typically I like to enter it from back here. The biggest threat is sleepers. Sleepers can spawn on these bushes here. Sleeper back there. So we like entering the restaurant from here because we are set up again right into a solid holdout spot. The freezer back here. Unbelievable place to hold out. And the restaurant I would summarize as probably the safest place in the whole map. Even if we weren't holding out in the freezer, we can split it pretty easy with one person looking here, people looking over here. The entire restaurant is just a really nice place to stand and shoot things. Office is not ideal, but again, you know, place that you can duck out of cover, get out of puke range. The whole restaurant is just a really nice place to fight the horde in general. And so if you're playing with a team and you're going to split up, this might be the place where maybe one player goes by themselves, so long as they have grenades to deal with mutations, or so long as they have a way to deal with mutations. The restaurant itself is a solid place to deal with the horde.
Take this ammo.
Medicine cabinets can spawn right there. Another place right here. Hold off against the horde rather comfortably.
Yeah.
A little bit of loot. The duffel bag spawn. That's the restaurant. That's the restaurant. When it comes to getting from here to below, typically I just
I'm receiving reports of a large
jump down that stairway. An opportunity for a toolkit room right here. And even here, decent enough holdout spot. Not anything amazing, but decent enough, right? To hold off against the horde.
Bandages here.
And for the most part, that's the restaurant. That's the restaurant for the most part. I am going to pick up this objective now. One thing that I need to talk about that I don't think people realize is that the objectives in the top left are fulfilled when you pick up the objective itself. And what that does is that when these objectives are picked up, especially no hope mode, each one, upon being completed, spawns a new corruption card. So I've been in games where people are experting out, running around, picking things up, and then a break respawns, because picking up one of these objectives will spawn a boss in no hope mode. Get the objective, right? So the objective is not fulfilled upon repairing it, but when you pick it up, and then up here. Now at the boat repair, things can jump over. But typically here, this is an area where you want to force your way in. That's the best of your ability. And notice how if you jump into this corner here, now obviously the zombies can just stand right there and punch you. If you jump into this corner, some of them will pathfind, up to here, like do a little climb first. Zombies don't like to crowd together,
Reloading.
so it's a pretty decent corner to sort of hold out at. I just want to point that out because this is typically an area where you are going to have to force your way through this gate into here as quickly as you can. As quickly as you can, because this is just a nightmare place. Zombies running out of here. Things can spawn in these bushes here and jump down and just get the heck out of here. And then once you force your way out, I say avoid going that way. Those bushes, ooh man, pain in the butt. Real pain in the butt. We can go this way. Not super amazing as far as being safe and being in a good place. Like, these are all pretty sketchy places as far as holding off against the horde here. There's the objective. We'll pick it up. We'll put it down. Right, but when it comes to the loot in this area, it's in the bunker, and it's along this wall. And remember, we're running the scav cards, so, you know, offensive scav, support scav. Not a tremendous amount of loot in this area in general. So for the most part, I would say if you don't have an objective in this area, you can probably skip it as far as looting goes. And if you're not going to skip it and you do want to loot, just loot the bunker and then get out. Not a whole lot going on here. All these little areas, things will spawn on top of. Things will run on top of this bunker and drop down on you. So again, like the only good holdout spot in this area really is this bunker. You can sort of split the doors a little bit. Force our way out a little bit. Keep going. One really nice thing about this area, especially if we go this pathway, we actually have an option as far as how we get out. So if you don't find your objective in this bunker, it'll sometimes be along this wall. Most of the time, like in this area right here, right there. And what I like here is that we have the choice of going back to the center immediately. Instead of running back towards the restaurant, actually drop down right here. We're back at the bridge. We got our objective. Right, we're running back this way. We can set ourselves up to go back to our holdout spot. That's quite nice. Right, so if your toolkit room is here, then, you know, back to the center for your toolkit room for your heal if somebody needs it potentially. We'll pick that up, put that down. There's the breaker spawn, right? Even in recruit mode, breaker spawns. So that's one thing to keep in mind too, is that if you get an objective that spawns right here, in a good holdout spot, maybe you want to pick up this objective last, so that you don't get stuck fighting the breaker in some place that sucks. Oh, he triggered his arena early. Right, you may not like this place to fight a breaker, that's fine too. Looks like you can cheese the breaker with this door a little bit. And here we go. And so the pathing thus far is what I would take very specifically. Go through the center, go to the restaurant, go to that area, if need be, right? Of course, finding the objectives as needed. And then, once we're back to the center, then we look here. Keep in mind, this is a spawn area, these bushes. Invisible wall for us, but things will run out of these bushes and attack you. Take our high ground. Nice bit of line of sight, where we're far enough away from the zombies wandering around the pier area. But we can still see all this. We can shoot and pull it, or just clear the area out, and then get here. Because this right here is the best holdout spot in this little chunk here. All the bunkers. Great little places to hold out. In fact, this bunker, even better. Do not open this bunker door. Do not open it. Leave it closed, because that is a door that they cannot open. So they being the ridden. Put up in here. Nice bit of loot. Potential here, right? Flash bangies. Hard shrines. What have you. Right? What have you. Another location though. Now, and then from here I would go this way. Beware the bushes,
What the
but
hell is that?
I'll show you another good holdout spot here. We're now at the piers. Once you eliminate the zombies that are at the pier itself,
Shooting at me.
keep this door closed.
Looks just
You keep
like
this
the
door
one
closed.
Dad and I-
Seeing that?
You'll notice you actually can't get knocked off here. I've never seen anyone get knocked off here. Maybe I have, maybe you... Oh, there you go. Never mind. You can get knocked off here. So long as you're not getting knocked off here, jumping to your death, for the most part, this is a pretty dang long hallway. If you open up this door and something smashes you, you run the risk of getting knocked into the back. But, relatively hard place to jump over the edge, but it can happen. But a sort of, if you're desperate for a holdout point for a long hallway, this is a pretty good spot to do it. Keep in mind that if you go over here, look how much shorter this bench is. You can far more easily jump off to your death.
Hey, we survived.
And also note, there are some weapon crates here, right? We are running weapon scav on hang. I do tend to find, though, that these two pier areas tend to be
You
a
know the
little
drill.
light on
Let's
the loot
blast it
for the
open.
most part.
It's gonna blow.
So I think even more so than the boat repair area or the boat storage area,
Look at me.
that not really worth coming down here
Reloading.
unless your objective is down here. Because even with all the scav cards activated on recruit mode, there's just not a whole lot in both of these boat areas. In fact, I tend to see that if there is any loot here, it tends to be in the form of crates, and it's sitting on the pier. That's been my experience here. Like, you'll see it like right there, like a attachment crate or things like that. So for the most part, if you can avoid the pier area, don't go here. No need to. No need to. All of it's pretty sketchy stuff, and as you can see, even with running the scav cards, there's just not a whole lot of stuff here. And now that we're here, we would basically just work our way back into the boat area. I would go this way.
Over there.
I would never go this way. Never go this way. There's like bushes that things can spawn in. There's sleeper spawns like in the bushes. There's opportunity to get knocked off into the ocean right here.
See that?
It's just a pain in the butt to go that way. So back to the center. You can go through the boat, into the boat repair right here.
Over here.
That door's open, you can go through there, back to the toolkit room area. Blah, blah, blah. Back to the boat back to the boat repair. And get to here. Keep in mind, we're wrapping it up here. Keep in mind, the minigun inherently has 100 rounds in it.
Scouts have
If you
confirmed
take a
a large
hive
number
out
of Britain approaching your
and you
location.
don't complete the objective, you don't load the minigun, when you go into the next mission, the minigun will only have 100 rounds. So it's like an interesting bit of realism that the game has here. Under the assumption that you took the hive out, but never fully repaired the boat. That's, I don't know. And then once we were to repair the boat and we were to begin to defend it, same thing. You can hold off the horde event here. There's a timer, right, for the boat to go down, or for the boat to take off. Typically, I just hold out right here on the left side of it. When the timer's almost done, you just jump on. And if you want to stay on the boat and not risk not being on it or whatever, somehow getting trapped off away from it, usually hold off back here. I don't like to hold in here.
What's that?
One wretch spew, one bad tall boy spawn. You're trapped in that little room. Hold back here. You can shoot this side. You can split it 50-50 with the team if you're not solo. Stuff like that, right? And there's opportunity to sort of dodge vomit on the ground if you jump up here, things like that. Oh, last two things I want to mention real quick here. Infinite jumps.
Whatever it is, I doubt it's right.
Look at that dirty sleeper spawn right there. Infinite loop right here. Potentially these two trucks that we can climb on top of. The Ridden can climb on all sides, but the Ridden climbs slower than us. So once we're on top, the Ridden climb up. You jump to another truck. Right, you jump to another truck. The Ridden have to jump down, climb over. Things like that. And also inside, these 3 boats offer the same opportunity as far as being able to jump from one to the other and have sort of like help you kite ridden for a really long time. Little tidbits there, little things there if you're somehow desperately running for your life, need to build up stamina. You can sort of conserve stamina by jumping from place to place and let it recharge a little bit. If you're waiting for your T5 to recharge, you can buy time. Things like that. So, that's this map for the most part. I think when it comes to the pathing, that's the most important thing here. So, to summarize, once you open that safe room door, get to this area as quickly as possible. Because up until this point, there's no good holdout spots up until this point. Activate the boat, hold out here. This is the best side. Go up to the center, loot, do your thing, secure the holdout spot in the center. Check for your hives. And then I like to go restaurant, boat storage, into canoe rental, pier if we have to, and then back here. That's the pathing I like to take very specifically. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. And I will see you in the future.